This week's card is Liverpudlian comedian John Bishop. Yep. Dan Lewis is a red 2-mana legendary 2/2 human creature with Doctor's Companion, which turns all non-creature, non-equipment artifacts into equipment, which give +1/+0 and have equip 1. This card is weird. Not just because it depicts a minor British celebrity, but also in that it does something that not many cards beforehand, and none in the command zone, have really done before. Animating artifacts into equipment is a very strange ability, but one that, for being on just a 2-mana card, can be surprisingly potent. Just in red, you've got some brilliant equipment synergies, both on the generic end, with cards like Valduk and Blacksmith's Talent, but also with more Dan-specific effects, like Bladegraft Aspirant, which can in essence equip every artifact on your board to itself once Dan drops, or the new Firion from Final Fantasy, who both gives equipped creatures haste and makes temporary copies of all non-token artifacts you cast while Dan's around. Additionally, you also have a boatload of access to treasures, blood, junk, power stones, basically a bunch of the numerous forms of artifact tokens from the past few years, which really bump up the power level of Dan just by sheer number that can be spammed onto the board with ease. Power Stones especially are really nice because, while yes they all enter tapped, they also pay for their own equip cost without sacrificing, or extra help, which no other cards really do. Cards like Professional Facebreaker and Visions of Phyrexia make Dan worth playing in just his native colour. But we all know that's not the full story. He's a Doctor's Companion, and that means he gets a Doctor to go alongside him. Because of the weird colour spreads of the Doctors, you've really got two main build paths. Teamer build that leans more into token spam and mana generation, or a Jeskai build that focuses on equipment synergies. With this being a partner pair, there are of course more options to build than just those, one or two which I'll skim over later, but one I won't be giving the time of day to is the 14th build. Don't build this unless you've got a spare 14 lying around. He doesn't synergize, and all he does is add an extra colour to a deck which does perfectly fine with 3. It's not worth the £70 to get him. But anyway, Teamer. Playing Dan as a Teamer partner brings a whole bunch of brilliant options. You gain access to powerful token creators like Lonis, Bootlegger's Stash, and the Tireless Twins. You also get cards which buff token creation like Pippin and Adrix and Nev. Cards like Chishiro, Kina, and Barrett which spam creatures to the field basically for free with Dan out. More of those cards which create equipment tokens that pay for themselves in Roxanne and Svella. And of course, you get Jaheira and Knight of Sweet's Revenge, which just go absolutely nuts. Like, I don't really need to explain why this deck can pop off hard, right? The cards do all the talking here. As for the Doctor you go with, Dan wants to be paired with 3, 4, or 6. Sorry, Jodie. 3 is the most popular choice as the only Doctor with a combat-oriented keyword, who also gets huge with artifacts tokens, and makes a token himself. 4 and 6, on the other hand, work nicely as a big number of your best cards are historic, and so depending on whether you want a future sight that makes tokens or a non-legendary clone, both Bakers work nicely in the zone alongside Mr. Bishop. My personal choice of these 3 would be 6, but you know, season to taste. And then you have the Jeskai build. What this gives you compared to the Teamer build is a trade-off of a smaller number of tokens being made in exchange for getting more juice out of each token as an equipment. For one thing, it's so much easier to equip for free in these colours between Pure Steel Paladin, Bladehold Warwhip, and Bureau Headmaster. Additionally, each token can also quite easily turn into multiple card draws as well, between Wyleth, Akiri, and the aforementioned Pure Steel, bolstered by the fact that clues are probably the best tokens to lean into in these colours. And well, if you do lean into clue synergies, you won't be disappointed with the rich pool of nice tech pieces in these colours either, like Martha Jones and Merchant of Truth. And well, no matter how you build this thing, you won't exactly struggle to end the game either. Between Steiner, Bruenor, Eivor, and Halvar, stomping the table when you have a critical mass of Dan equips is an absolute cinch. I feel like now is the correct time to remind everyone watching that we are talking about a Scouser who equips your team with garbage blood and jelly babies. God, Magic is a silly game. As for the Doctor pair for Jeskai, 7 seems to be the general consensus answer for this one, and I'm inclined to agree, especially if you're going hard into clues. It's not a bad choice to play any of the other Azorius Doctors, but I think that Mr. McCoy just offers the most to this build. That being said, my personal choice would be 8. Having an assured way to pull your important artifacts, legends, and Dans out of the grave is nothing to sniff at, and I like having that assurance. Now, that's the 2 main builds covered, but as I said, He's a partner. You don't need to limit yourself to just those. I haven't really mentioned it, but 15 can make a really nice partner for just a basic Is-It build. Or you can forgo tokens and build around just some of your favourite artefacts. Or make a deck entirely out of mana rocks. Or build a stupid meme around equipping the weirdest stuff possible to Dan. The world is truly your oyster. I know that Doctor Who isn't everyone's cup of tea, but if you're wanting a set full of cards with untapped creativity potential, there really isn't a place to look that's better, and Dan is a brilliant place to start.